Here we go. Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. My guest today is Marja Captijn. Welcome, Marja.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Great to be able to zoom in or from around the country because you're a long way south, aren't you? Now I've looked this up. So Kelso, which is near Tapanui, next to Tapanui.
Yep.
And so Tapanui is probably closest to, say, Gore.
Yeah, that's it. It's half an hour drive from Gore. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of to get people's bearings. That's where you are. So very rural.
Yes. Yeah. So if I go up to have a course, it's a 2-hour drive to the airport of Dunedin, and then I can start flying. Yeah.
It's quite a commute to. So Dunedin's the closest big city.
Invercargill is.
Invercargill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be roughly an hour and a half, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So how does business go for you in such a rural area? Where do your clients come from, and how do they find you?
Well, Tapanui itself only has 700 people.
Okay.
And when I decided to start working as a personal trainer, my husband is the GP, so I always been the doctor's wife, and then the doctor's wife had a hobby, which was PTing. But I after that first, I had another job, and I added a few hours of PT, and slowly my business started to grow. But I have actually never advertised because everything here is going word of mouth.
Okay.
So, and I'm doing well. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's good. So that's kind of helps people with maybe issues with numbers. You know, if they're in a big city and they are struggling with their client base, and you're in a small rural town with 700 people only, and your business is going well, then there's no excuse, is there?
No, well, and I must say I think there would be 1,200 in the surrounding areas.
Okay.
But no, it was getting people to know that I am not just there to create big muscles. And I must say, if people want to do a half-hour drive to Gore, there is lots of options. There's a HIIT studio, there is CrossFit, there are gyms, there are personal trainers, there's yoga, Pilates. But I think I just did my own thing and was not chasing up too much. If that makes any, I wasn't putting pressure on people. I just did my own thing, and apparently that worked. Yeah,
they obviously liked your style.
They must have.
You found your people, and that's kind of what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think I'll train most of my clients are in my age group, so I can connect with them. I can a little bit younger, so I connect what it's like to have a family life, to try to keep up all the balls with work, a private life, and your fitness. And sometimes the things that go first are the ones that matter the most. So I have to, I can relate to my clients, and I think that really helps.
Absolutely. They get you as just a human being, which is kind of one of the most important things, isn't it? That connection, that people understanding people, rather than, like you say, the intimidation or potential intimidation of what PT could mean to some people when they don't necessarily know there are different types.
And I think what helps me here, the gym that I work in, it used to be an old bank building. It's really, really small. We do have everything, but it's small. The people who come and work with me, I have to book a time in the slot, but I think for most of my clients, they get one-on-one in an empty gym. Well, that's a lot less intimidating than going to a big gym with lots of people around. So I think that really helps too.
So if we sort of start back at the beginning, what got you into it? I mean, obviously you're not from New Zealand originally, you're from the Netherlands. So and Halo, your original birth town, which is one of the other pieces of information I was able to find. Give us a bit of the backstory as to what brought you here and how you got into the industry, or what obviously you were interested in it, but
what brought me to New Zealand was actually a misunderstanding, a miscommunication.
Oh, this could be interesting.
Oh, my husband was completing his training to become a general practitioner, and he was looking for some jobs because I, as a true mum and wife, was kind of nagging about him. You're almost done. You haven't got a job yet. And then he found a job offer online. He said, "Oh, this sounds really good. You got a relocation cost. There's a house, and it's for a year." And I thought he's at Zealand, which is a part of the Netherlands.
Okay.
So I said yes, and he was quite surprised, but because he was mentioning New Zealand, I kind of missed that part.
Yeah.
So he started the process. I think it took me a week to realize that he wasn't talking about a part of the Netherlands, but actually talking about a part the other side of the world. But by that time, he was onto it, and I kind of went with it. So we went to New Zealand, and we stayed in Kaitaia for 6 months, then Otautau for a year, then moved back to the Netherlands because that was our original idea.
Right.
But being in the Netherlands again, we kind of felt homesick towards New Zealand. And in 2012, we moved to Blenheim. And after 10 months, we moved to Tapanui. And every year we look each other in the eyes and say, well, let's do another year.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yep.
So 2012, you've said that a few times then. And it seems to be sticking.
I know. I don't see myself returning to the Netherlands, to be honest. No, I love that's the good thing about living rural. I can just hop on my bike, go out and not see a single soul, and go for a run. I love it. And coming back to your question, how I got into the industry. In the Netherlands, I worked as a nurse at the maternity ward. So I got a specialization in obstetrics and gynecology. And here in New Zealand, I was doing some volunteer work at school. And then the personal trainer here stopped. And when she decided not to go back, my husband bought the gym because he said, I can't prescribe exercise to my clients if there is no gym here.
Right.
And then I thought, well, actually, it would be really good. I can still work with people because that's what I love. Get myself retrained and take it from there. So that's what I did. And I haven't looked back. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you've obviously done some additional vocational training since your initial qualifications, which have sort of steered you down a particular path. What sort of things interested you that have sort of got you interested in that further education stuff?
Actually, that was purely client-based. I could see clients struggling with health issues, and I didn't know how to connect that to my PT skills. So I did a training in exercise as medicine, so I could connect my nursing skill to my PT skills. And then I had quite a few women with pelvic floor issues. So I thought, I need to work on that too. So I did pelvic floor exercises. And then I could see restrictions in client, but was unable to help them out. I have done a yoga teacher training because the yoga teacher stopped in Tapanui and she asked me if I could take over the classes. Well, yeah, I can, but I'm not qualified. So I got a qualification in that.
Well done.
So it was more, and even the course, the holistic movement that I'm doing right now is driven what I see with my clients and feeling that I want to help them to improve their quality of life and their movement. And I know it's out there. It's just that I don't have the knowledge yet. So that is my newest course. And my husband's already starting to roll his eyes. Okay, what do you get yourself into again? But I think that what makes a personal trainer good is to stay open-minded and keep challenging yourself and pushing yourself to see if you can improve yourself and therefore the life of your clients. Yeah.
Absolutely. I like the fact that you said that it's client driven. It's wanting to help them solve their challenges rather than I just need more knowledge and I'm going to go and do XYZ course, and it doesn't always necessarily link back. But that's beautiful, that you're doing it out of that desire to help, and obviously that's why we're here, isn't it? So good on you for keeping on doing the things and picking up the yoga so you could do the classes. It's just practical, isn't it? What's the solution? Right, I'll just get qualified.
That's what it is like. Yeah,
that's brilliant. So you said that your client base is sort of similar age and age and stage. And is that sort of general population in the area? Are they in that sort of era of life?
We have a farming community. So there's a lot of farmers around.
Okay.
The specific demographics I am not sure about. I know that we do have a gap of people in their 20s when they start to go to college or get a qualification. They kind of go away.
Yeah.
There is a small secondary school here, but I think overall, if you look at the teenagers, there is not a lot of them. Yeah. So it would be more the people who return to take on farming or to have a job around here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And is there a school for local kids, or is that further away?
No, here it's a small community, but we have a lot. So we have a play group, a play center, we have a daycare, and we have a primary school, and we have Blue Mountain College, which is a secondary school.
Right. So there's so there's sort of, there's kids, there's sports and other things that they probably do around that schooling that would, potentially be younger clients one day, or
yeah, who knows?
You never know. Yeah. And so what sort of how do your weeks go in terms of clients? And obviously they get the entire space to themselves when they come in. Can other people sort of use other things while they're there, or is it literally sort of one in, one out, away you go?
So because of COVID, we have restricted the amount of people in the gym. So there's a maximum of 4. That means that I can always find my way around to do the exercises.
Right.
But generally my day starts at 6:45 a.m. And then I come home, have breakfast, work till lunch. And depending a bit on the day, I have an hour after lunch, or I'm at home for the kids.
Yeah.
And I work 2 or 3 hours at night.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's the typical day, really, isn't it? Where people are available and can do their thing. Yeah.
And when I just started up, I worked crazy hours because I wanted to build up my business. So I worked Saturdays and Sundays as well. And I have chosen not to do that and put a little bit more of life-work balance into my schedule.
Yeah. I think that's something that's come up on other conversations that I've had, is that initial startup phase, in at least the first 3 months, if not longer, it's it's all hands on deck. It's work, establish yourself, build that client base, whether that's in a big box gym or in the middle of a rural community. It's the same story again and again. And then once you've done that, then it gives you the ability to then go, okay, what do I want my perfect week to look like? And you slowly chip away at getting it to look how you really want it to. And then that kind of creates the balance that you're talking about, doesn't it? So that you can keep it sustainable.
Yeah. And I have an awesome community who have supported me all the way through. So it's been great. Yeah.
So plenty of referrals from the doctor then?
Well, people said that we had a scheme build up. When I didn't work as much, I did a lot of Dutch baking as fundraisers. So my kids would sell a lot of baking.
Right.
And the joke was a little bit that I would sell the baking, they would gain weight, get pre-diabetic, go to the doctor who would refer them back to me in the gym. I thought it was awesome.
I love it. I love it.
It's the best scheme ever.
It's the health cartel.
Well, Fons and I have discussed that we don't discuss work at home. He can't, because of course he has that clientele confidentiality, and I want to do the same for my clients.
Absolutely.
If people have issues and they go to see Fons, I always ask them, look, is it okay if I ask him what's around or how I can help you? Usually they're okay. And sometimes people are a bit cheeky and they come back and said, oh yeah, Fons told me that you were going to do this. Or I even had a little note and I gave it to one of my clients, knowing that she was going to see Fons. And I said, on that note, it said, I love you. And then I said, P.S., this is from your wife, not your patient. Put that note to him at the end. And I think that's quite cool that you can do stuff like that in a small community.
Yeah, it is, and they're sort of part and parcel of the communication channel, and it's quite cool. You wouldn't get that necessarily in another situation. So
No, and
it's pretty special.
I have it the same with the physio and it's not a manual therapist. I forgot the English. Yeah, the osteopath. Yeah. So if I have any doubts, I write out a referral, and that's something like a text and say, look, this is the client that comes to you. This is what I've seen. Can you keep me up to date? And so we're on the same page. Brilliant. And it works brilliantly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got good connections with both physio and osteo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. And is that something that you fostered? Did you actively go and sort of connect with them?
Yeah, because for a start, they didn't know what I was doing. But now it's still going, because I refer clients, but I have a physio here in Tapanui as well. And I asked if I could join her for a day so I can get a little bit of an idea of what she's doing. So that's on my list to do. Yeah.
That's a great idea. Actually, I might steal that, Marja.
Yeah.
Like I've made connections, but actually saying, can I come and sit there for a day or half a day or whatever is a great way of A, being able to see how they work, but B, having that sort of that chat in between and making stronger connections.
Yeah, I've done it with clients as well. I have one client, she's amazing. She's a beekeeper, and she was explaining to me what her movements were, but I couldn't quite get my head around it. So I did start on a strengthening training based on her movements, but I actually joined in for the day and did what she was doing. And then I came back thinking, oh, okay, I do need to change things around because we need to do a lot more grip strength and doing deadlifts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
I think being able to, that just shows your commitment, doesn't it, to your client? It's not just taking their word for it. It's actually feeling how their day goes. That's a totally different endeavor, in terms of commitment. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
It was a fun day between the bees, but it was not.
Yeah, I was going to say you'd want to not get stung to have a great day, wouldn't you?
No. Oh, and the idea now is that when calving comes up, I would like to do a day with calf rearing, and I've done a few milkings, so I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And in the sheep industry as well, I would like to see if I can, do something like that as well, just to get a feel of the movements and therefore the strength or the patterns what I need to be working on.
Yes. That rings a really vague bell in my mind. I remember working with someone who I think was a dairy farmer, and it was attaching the
it's the cupping.
Attaching the cups to the udder, and he said basically all day I just do this.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, so wrist, shoulder, elbow.
Yeah.
And he's just like, this is the worst RSI, so it's amazing until you sort of get close up and realize what these people do on a day-to-day, and the volume of what they do. That really hits home as to how robust they need to be and what programming needs to work around that so that you can balance them out a little bit, because they don't get a break. It's just phenomenal. Yeah. So predominantly farmers as opposed to other endeavors in the community?
No, I would say mostly farmers. Yeah. Sheep, beef, dairy. I think you got them then. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And then their extended families. So do you pick up partners as on the way through and extend the client base that way?
Yeah, I got, there's one family, and that's a mom and 3 children. So that's basically the whole family that lives in the area that I train, which is awesome.
Fantastic. It's good, isn't it, when someone gets it and it's like, right, everybody, we all need to get it, yes, that's a great win. You've got everybody on board. It's the right way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So what does the future look like? Because I remember vaguely the first time we chatted a while back before you did the mentorship, you were talking about no competition in the area. So if you were to go somewhere if you were to work somewhere else, then that would be the only experience of having other trainers in the area. I can't. Sorry, very vague.
Well, that's all right. So I do. So my nearest competitor is half an hour away.
Right.
But I still want to. I want to prove, I guess, to the bigger cities and the other communities that although we live in a small community, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get a good quality of work.
Yeah.
That the lack of competition doesn't mean that you can't have a good PT in town. So
right.
If we ever would decide to move out of Tapanui, I know I will be having a hard time, but I think with all the experience that I've had and the training that I've done, I think I can offer something quite unique to this area. Yeah. So, but we'll see. And again, I think I would do exactly the same thing as when I did in Tapanui. I would probably market it myself a little bit more. I think that would require me to be a little bit more active on social media, but I wouldn't put pressure or be too desperate to get new clients, because I think it will work the same way as it will work here. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, but we'll see. I might set myself up in a shoe clinic and just assess everybody's feet for a day and then give my card away, something like that. Yeah.
You're already answering my next question. That's perfect. But that's a great idea. I mean, it's a marketing strategy, isn't it? It's a way of connecting with other businesses, so you build that relationship, and from there, people who have problem feet or things that they need to work on can spend a bit more time working on that with you, as opposed to that fleeting bit of advice that the shoe guy gives them.
Yeah, and it's still New Zealand. It's still a small community. So if we would decide to move to Dunedin because our kids are studying there, it's still nearby. And I think I'm still hoping that I can get a little bit more online things going. So if clients are not well, if they need to isolate, if I need to isolate, I can make the switch to online sessions a little bit smoother. Right now, it looks like people are a bit not used to it. And sometimes it's hard to make that connection in your head that an online session can be just as good as an in-person session. Yeah.
Yeah, it can. It depends what the content is, I suppose, isn't it? And how tricky you're getting. But there is a hell of a lot. If you've got a good camera and a good microphone, then you're 90% there, really, aren't you? And then if it's hands-on stuff, that's going to be different. But if it's stuff you can talk through and show and explain and indicate, etc., you can cover a lot.
Yeah, and I do have a client who I see once a week online and 2 times in person. And because we have been working together, I know what he can do by himself online. So that makes it a lot easier. And I have another client and I see her once a fortnight online. But because I have worked with her in person, the transition is quite smooth. I can talk her through. She knows what things need to feel like. She knows what a red flag is. She knows when she has to say, look, this doesn't feel right. So that makes things easier. And it can't beat an in-person session, but it can be a good alternative.
Yeah.
If the other alternative would be not moving at all, then of course I would prefer an online session. Yeah,
absolutely. And so have you sort of tested the waters with people and sort of found out where they're at with that idea?
Yeah. Oh, for some people it makes sense, and they're like, oh, yep, that's fine. And for some people, it was a bit harder. So the first lockdown, I did nothing online. I was not prepared. I didn't see it coming. It was my sister-in-law got COVID, so it was quite intense for us. I wasn't in the right headspace. The second lockdown, I was prepared. So I texted all my clients, I emailed them, I said, look, I'm doing online. Some clients were on board just like that, and the others were like, that's not, which is fine. Yeah.
I found exactly the same thing. I think most people probably did, didn't they? And so I found other ways of checking in with them. So instead of them turning up to a Zoom, I'd send them a little video and go, try this or try that. And, you know, they can just either do it or not do it, or, you know, it's just a way of staying in contact with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like your idea about going to the shoe clinic and that sort of thing. It's great. And so that was the first lovely tip. And I'm going to scribble that down while we talk. Any other things that you've sort of come across over the years that have worked well for you that are worth sharing?
No, I think it's probably said a lot of the times you can meet your client where they're at. But it depends a bit on what kind of client it is. If you have a new client coming in and they are really self-driven, they have a goal, they have a plan, you can put your program into place and they are probably really motivated to get there and be uncomfortable and push themselves because they want to have the results. But my majority of the problems are the people who like to plan and take a little bit of time, are not really into getting too uncomfortable. I think that if you would be pushing your own program on them, you might lose them, because getting fitter or stronger means that you are getting uncomfortable. You might get a little bit sore as your body adjusts it. You might feel short of breath. And if you're not used to it, and I think if you don't educate your clients in that, they might go away and say, oh, this was way too hard. I was pushed too hard. I didn't enjoy it. So I try. Yeah. And even now, when I have my warm up with my clients, I just want to see where they're at. What was their night like? Did they sleep well? Did the kids sleep well? Did they eat well? So, and then I take them to the board and said, look, this is what I had in mind. Is this something that you see yourself doing today, or do we need to change things out?
Nice.
Yeah. So that was a long answer for a short question.
No, it's good. It's good. It's sort of adapting to where the clients, like you said at the beginning, it's meeting your client where they're at, essentially, isn't it? And that's the detail in behind that in terms of how you do that. So I wouldn't say long-winded, I'd say detailed and useful.
Thank you.
So I'm scribbling, so apologies. So I've got some notes to put in at the end on the show notes, but is there anything sort of that you've done that you've thought, oh no, that didn't go well, I'm never going to do that again? Are there any of those learnings as well?
Oh yeah, I think if I look back on how I was being with my clients then and how I do it now, it's completely different.
Right.
Then I had this, okay, this client says that they want to lose weight and get stronger and get fitter. So this is what we're going to do. I made up a plan for the next 6 weeks. We're going to do this, 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 and this. And if you do that, you get your results. And I kind of pushed my program onto them, and that didn't always work. And now that I look back, I think, ooh, that was really cringy. Now I am a lot more like, okay, this is what you probably might do if you want to work. Do you feel like doing that? Yes, good. If not, well, let's go back. And if you're not getting there, if you're not losing the weight, do you feel happier? Do you feel healthier? Do you feel that you can handle life a little bit better? Then that might be the gains, and it might be not the goals that they were telling me at the beginning, but I kind of have the broader vision of the whole human being in front of me instead of just getting them to the goals.
Yes, I like that. Yeah.
And I guess sometimes the big why is something that they won't say in an intake. I want to lose weight. Okay. And maybe now in the next few weeks, if I got a new client, I might dig in a little bit more. Why do you actually want to do that? Because if the weight doesn't shift, but they wanted to lose the weight because they wanted to feel better about themselves, then maybe the weight loss is not the thing to focus on too much, but maybe feeling better about yourself. So how can we accomplish that if the weight loss doesn't happen the way you had it in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of having a goal A, a goal B, and a goal C, and sometimes we're not always going to get the A that we thought we were going to get, but we need to be happy that B would just be as good in a different way. Yeah. Oh, I like it. That's excellent.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's so good. It's good approach, really. So that human approach, really, isn't it? About, like you said, it's the whole human rather than just the person saying I want to lose weight. And it goes back to what you said at the very beginning. It's about, just being another human being and connecting on that level rather than, the intimidating trainer, which some people might shy away from or assume that that's what we are when we aren't, when we're not.
I had one client in, and she's awesome, but it took her months to actually walk through the gym door because she assumed that in a town like Tapanui, the personal trainer would be a bald guy over the top of his powerlifting career. And then she had me. I said, "Oh, is this okay too?"
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm so pleased that I came in." So still there is some idea of what a personal trainer does or looks like. Yeah.
Even in an environment that's not a big box gym, which you'd typically expect there to be more of that kind of person, and that's not necessarily the wrong person. They're always right for someone, aren't they? But when there's only you, there's not a lot of choice. So it sounds like she was happy and everything worked out well anyway. So
yes,
all good. Well, I think I've managed to get some good gems in there, Maya, but is there any question I didn't ask that I should have?
No, I think you covered quite a lot. Yeah.
Excellent. Great. Well, it's been awesome chatting, and it's felt very relaxed, sort of, like I've known you for a long time and we've only really met a couple of times. So it's been a really good chat and some really interesting stories, hearing about why you're in New Zealand at least, and everything else in between. But what's good that we've got you here in New Zealand, because it's great to have people like you and obviously your husband, who are so, productive members of society and, giving back and doing such wonderful work for people. So thank you.
Oh, thanks. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, great. We'll have to try another version down the track, and a version 2 at some point.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, for now, thanks for your time and see you later.
Okay. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.